I don't know what this is, like day 6 of our hunt or something.
Day 6, 7, something like that.
We decided we'd do a quick little podcast on the mountain here and give you a little update for those that are watching on YouTube. You're only going to get about 5 minutes of video and see where we're at, but then it's going to go straight audio because we're trying to conserve as much battery as possible for filming this hunt. And we're pretty remote. Takes us about 2 days, day and a half to get back here. But we're going to just give you an update on the hunt and how it's going, what we're learning, and what it's been like. So I'll just kind of dive into it. I'm here with Brad Hunt, and it's kind of a newer area. We're both talking about how much we like hunting open country. Like the spot and stock game, we're both pretty sneaky, and we like this. And sure enough, as we got back here in this open country, nobody's coming here. I mean, it's so steep. And I'd say it took us a couple of days to figure out where the elk are holding up, which canyons they're in. Granted, they're kind of been everywhere. It's been a great hunt. I mean, it's been a great hunt. But Brad, so far on the hunt, what would you say is your highlight of the hunt, the best part so far?
Well, it'd have to be getting 40 yards from that bull. Now, there's part of me that, just the adventure getting in here and stuff and seeing all this country and seeing the elk, but getting that 40 yards from that bull, kind of the first stock of the year, and there's a small part of me that is like, yeah, you should have taken that bull, but I've told you, like, my goal this year is to kill either an old herd bull or I mean, maybe he's a big antlered bull, but just a mature bull,
Yeah.
And even if that means he doesn't have a big rack, but he's an old bull, that's my goal.
A herd bull.
A herd bull.
The bull you snuck up on is a nice looking bull.
Yeah.
A nice 6. Wide, beautiful bull. But Brad, for those, he passed on it. He decided it wasn't quite big enough.
Yeah.
Or old enough, rather. He wasn't,
Right.
He was by himself. He wasn't a herd bull. Like, there's a bull, for those that are watching on this video, there's a bull right behind us on this ridge. And he's probably, I don't know, he's probably not going to live another year.
He's old bull.
He's old, but he didn't have much for antlers because his fronts are big, and you can see he had some antlers in the past, but he's on the regress. He's digressing, but he's a fighter. Half his tips are busted off.
Yeah.
He's a gnarly old bull, smart. I almost killed him yesterday. Came to full draw, had him at 57 yards. There's a little brush in the way. Then I had him at 70 and 80, but it's just a little far. I didn't want to take that shot if I didn't have to. I was kind of hoping I want to be real patient and only take a shot that I'm 100% sure I'm going to make. Or at least I feel, you're never 100%, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
But he ended up not coming the 10 or 15 yards I needed him to come. And then he fed away from us and bedded down at about 90, 100 yards. And after about, 30 minutes, the wind switched, which we knew it was going to switch. And then as soon as they smelled us, it's so funny. Everything changes, and then they just ran around this tip, this mountain we're on, over to this little canyon, and they're in the same spot they were last night.
Yeah.
That bull's old. He does not like to move. I mean, yesterday he mostly just sat there and laid down the whole time. Got up, checked a cow or two.
He'd stand up, he'd bugle, check a cow, go lay back in the creek.
Yeah, he's got that attitude like, if you want to fight me, I'll fight you. I'll die trying. I'll fight you to death. But let's just not do this because I will back it up.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he's not looking for any fights or more cows.
It kind of reminds me like that. The old guy, that used to be a boxer back in the day or something. Yeah. It's just like, he's not gonna pressure you. But if you're in his face, man, he's gonna let you know. and he knows he can kick your butt like an old man.
This bull, he's probably smaller than the bull you passed on.
Right.
Antler-wise. Body-wise, I don't know, he's got 200 pounds on them.
Giant, and just big old shoulders, big old hump. I mean, looks like a grizzly bear of an elk,
You were talking about it yesterday, and it's like, for some reason, that bull gets you more excited than the bull you passed on. And then that was kind of it. You were at full draw twice, 2-3 times.
3 times.
And you were like, you know what? I'm not that excited about this bull.
Yep.
But this bull over here, even though he doesn't have the same rack, he's got that age.
Yep.
And does make you excited.
Exactly. I would take this bull in a heartbeat. So if he beds down and gives us an opportunity, we might go smoking.
I should have killed him yesterday. He was in the palm of my hand. That's the thing with archery is, I was sitting there going, well, this is a shot I know I can make. It's a good shot for me. But if he's closer, just 10 or 20 yards closer, I mean, it's just all the variables of what can go wrong are just diminished greatly. And so, I was trying to be patient. And that's the thing, when you're patient to get a better shot, you have to accept the risk that you might lose the shot you have.
Well, just a perfect example is that bull I put that stock on a couple of days ago. I got him at 100, I got him at 70, and I was sitting there at 70, and I was like, man, I can make this shot all day long. But then the wind started blowing harder, and it's like, well, why not get to 60? As soon as I got to 60, it's like, well, I can still get to 50, and I can get to 40. And then right at 40, I had cover, but I was like, that's a good chip shot. Like, why push it? Just in case, I sat down at 40, range. I drew on the bull, that first time I drew on him was, he's still bedded, and it was like, just to basically get the jitters out. But I had a little bit of adrenaline, it's your first stock of the year on an elk. And then the second one, I was like, man, if he stands up, he's dead. And I'd sit there and look at him some more, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not excited about this bull. It would have been awesome, and we had it on film, everything. Perfect situation, great stock, working up to it.
Textbook. Everything worked exactly as according to plan.
Yep.
The wind was hard in your face. He'd been laying there for 4 or 5 hours. He was going to get up at any time.
Right.
Stretch. You would be at full draw by the time.
Yep. And so I cow called, but for those listening, if that was a bull that I 100% wanted to kill, I would not have made a peep. I'd have sat there on that bull, and I would have let him get up on his own time. But what I had in my head was like, okay, I have it on film. If I cow call and this bull stands up and he gives me a shot opportunity, I'll take it. But if not, it's like it's meant to be. He just wasn't. And sure enough, like most of those bulls, like they do, you cow call and you're within 70, 100 yards or closer, they're not going to sit there. They're going to get up and get out of their bed like he did. And just get out of there.
I knew you were, when you cow called, you were sabotaging the setup.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because everything was so perfect. But I was looking at the bull and I was like, it's right on the border of what you're looking for. So I wasn't surprised when you decided not to take the bull. But if he cow called and he just stood up and gave you a gimme and you were at full draw,
right,
and it all worked out, that'd be cool. You're like, I'll shoot him then.
Yeah.
But we both knew cow calling was like the mistake of all mistakes.
Exactly.
Like the thing. There's the now and then you'll get that thing where the bull just stands up and goes, what? Because they're not in the right mind or they're too amped.
Yep.
But he wasn't in that. You kind of knew if you got the wind and you know it's going to stay good for a long time.
Yep.
The best thing to do is patience. Patience kills the buck. Patience kills the deer. The patience kills the elk. You just sit there and wait. Just wait. And that animal will stand up. And when they rock to get up, you can tell. That's when you draw your bow. They're too busy looking in the wrong direction. They're just trying to get up.
Yep.
You're at full draw. By the time they stand, now they'll scan 360, the old ones. Sometimes they'll just stretch right away before they even look around. But the smart ones, usually they'll just, before they do anything, they look in all directions. But you're already stationary at full draw.
Exactly.
And you're just settling the pin. So it's a great setup to be in. And that's the setup you had. But once you decided, he's not what I want, I don't want to wait here 3 or 4 hours to see what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and call, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if that was the bull that I 100% wanted to take, if it took me 5 hours of sitting there, I'd have done it. I would have let that bull get up on his own time, because he's way more relaxed versus me cow calling. But again, it just, the more I sat there and looked at that bull, I was like, he's not a bull that right now I want to take. And I mean, yeah, it was cool situation, cool scenario, but just wasn't the bull I was excited about.
There's 3 elk right here on the hill in front of us. It's when we woke up this morning from the camp, bedded on this hillside, and about 60 yards above us was a bunch of elk, a cow and a calf and a spike, just grazing above us on the hill. We just kicked out some deer beds and threw our air mattresses on this slope. Haven't been using any shelter for about 5 days. It's worked out fine.
Yeah, the nights are pretty darn warm right now.
It's been hot. That's where these elk have been on the water a lot. Our big bull, or what should we call him, old man?
I'm thinking old man, because you guys already have grandpa.
Yeah, old man. This cow's bedded right on that slope there. I can just barely make him out, his horns. He's just over the edge there. He's about 600 yards away.
Yeah.
It's real quiet. There's no wind. Normally by this time we got a pretty heavy wind. It's been kind of lousy filming and glassing because there's all this smoke from the Oregon forest fires. And it's just, the mountains are just fogged in like bad with smoke.
Yeah, once that wind stops kind of late evening throughout the night, it just socks right in.
I'd say this is the most stagnant wind day we've had so far. There's just no wind at all. This is not normal.
Well, maybe we'll kill a bull because things aren't normal.
Well, I want to say, Brad, we've been on good stocks almost every day. Nearly every day we've been in a bull's back pocket, almost about ready to take one. But water has been an issue because we're really, really deep into this area, and the elk are up high, and finding a water source up there has been tricky. But we found a couple of springs that are popping out really high on the mountain. And so now we're kind of centered our camp somewhere.
Yeah, it's
springs.
Finding those springs is definitely a game changer because, we can, even the spring that's around from us, it's nice because it's the same elevation we're at. And we can just work around the hillside. But if we didn't have that spring, we're dropping 12 to 1,500 feet at least to go get water.
Yeah, and then we got to haul it all the way back up.
Right.
You have to be up here so you can see everything in the morning. If you're camped in the bottom, you just got no visibility.
Yep. And you're just up against the clock because that wind's
going to switch on.
And
amazingly, we were camped here, elk all on 360 around us, and they never winded us. But this morning we had a big old bull come over this ridge to our left. Big old bull with a herd. And they're pushing down. And at the very bottom there's water down here. And I'm sure that's where they were headed. And that was going to work out perfect for us. But the lead cow, she got pretty far down the canyon. She was not far from water, and she just turned and ran out of there, and then they all went with her. So, I mean, our wind was blowing downhill, but man, that's 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and yesterday there were elk there, and we could have had a little different wind this morning, I guess, but they didn't seem to give a care in the world yesterday.
They didn't pick us up yesterday.
So,
but it is a little different wind today, and it was blowing across and then down. You know, and who knows? I mean, it could be another. We could have smelled a mountain lion or something else that pushes up.
yeah, I did see that one bear coming in.
Yeah.
Just a young bear.
So, it's hard to say, but whatever it was, it spooked that cow, and she took the rest of the herd back over the mountain. So, the only bull in our basin that we're aware of right now is Grandpa, his old man.
Well, we got another elk across that big saddle, but I can't tell what he is. We'll have to put the spotter on him.
That's the thing, is any minute you could have a herd of 50 come over this ridge in one of these saddles and just dump down into the water hole.
Yep.
It's so dry and they're so thirsty, it's so hot.
That's one thing with elk is elk have to water every day versus like a mule deer. Mule deer will go 3 or 4 days without water.
Yeah.
Or more. Versus elk, I mean, they hit water every day. They travel a long ways too.
Yeah, this mountain hunting is in this steep open country. This is how I like to hunt elk. My favorite elk hunts have always been, first of all, most people won't do the physical work it takes to do this, or they'll do it for a day or two. But every day you get to just watch big old herds of elk, big racked bulls. You just, there's no like wandering around trying to find them, and you don't have to call.
Yeah.
Like, they're just scattered all over on these ridges, and if there's nothing in this ridge, you just go to the next one and look down, and you know, when you got herds of 40 or 50, it's hard to miss.
Right.
When you're hunting timber, typically what I have seen is your herds are like 8 to 12, 15 cows max with each bull. In open country like this, you'll have 100, up to 100 cows with one bull.
Yep. Yeah, and it's totally different too. I mean, because you can hear, you can see, so you don't have to. And that's, you know, in different parts of open country that I've hunted a lot is I've never really called much because you can already see them, and I don't want to give away my location anyway.
Yeah.
You know, when you get into real steep country, you can almost always guarantee the wind's blowing up and gives you an opportunity to slip down in on those elk. I mean, you might have to go a long ways around to get to them.
Yeah.
But you can see them.
Well, and one thing that people don't realize when you're in country like this, mule deer are harder than elk to sneak up on.
Yeah.
But in this open country, you know, we were moving through the sage. We're staying low in the wide open. I would much rather hunt animals in the wide open where I can, like yesterday, there's probably 40 elk on this hill. And we just crept right straight toward them, basically, through the sage on the slope, right in the wide open. Like from 800 yards down to like 150. And as long as you move slow.
Yep. And stay low.
Stay in the sage. They don't, you know, they don't see you. And we were keeping eyes on them too. And I like being able to see their faces, their body language. You know, when it looks like everything's looking away or not paying attention, I'm moving in. And when one freezes and decides to scan, I sit still until they're done. We move when the wind picks up. We don't move when the wind's stagnant. You know, you're just kind of, you can get away with way more than you think.
Right. The big thing is again, just staying low, keeping your head level or below the brush, because, you know, when you get above it, that's when you stand out. And when you're down below it, they don't know any difference between your head and the piece of sagebrush behind you. So key is just
Right.
stay low.
And elk see movement.
Yeah.
They see movement, so when you move like the slow hand of the clock, not the minute hand, not the second hand,
The hour
hand, you know, they have a hard time seeing that.
Yeah.
You just kind of blend in, so.
It's grueling. I mean, you have to prepare your body for that, because I mean, you go on a 1,000-yard stalk, and you're moving super slow, crouched down, like.
That's as hard as hiking with a heavy bag.
Yeah. Or sometimes I feel like it's worse, you know, between your legs being bent all the time, your back hunched over.
Remember when we were hunting coos deer with lampers? He's like, you know, you were sneaky and you did the stalk right if you're incredibly sore and exhausted at the end of like a 500-yard stalk.
Yep. And I mean, it's just, for example, like on my coos deer, I went maybe 600 yards and then like 8.5, 9 hours later when I killed that buck finally, you know, and just, it's grueling.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reward at the end is worth it.
It was cool. We snuck right up on this bull. We could have killed him in his bed. You know, we were right there. There was a couple cows on the hill though that were in our way. Right now, we got this bull. He's over the edge, but he's got one lone cow on the ridge as a sentinel. And unless she gets up and moves, there's no play on that bull.
Right.
Plus, if there's no wind, there's no point either. If they bed down by the water's loud. You know, it kind of muffles some sound. And
Yep.
But where they're at right now, they're not real killable.
No. Like I said, that wind is pretty much nil right now, so they'll hear a lot. Plus you got these, you know, there's a lot of shell rock faces, crunchy grass, brush. They're definitely very aware of what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed yesterday is when you're in a herd of 40 or 50, there's a lot of chaos and confusion, and the cows are fighting with each other, pushing each other around. The bull is rutting. He's kind of checking each cow and acting like the man. And there's a lot of confusion, and you get on the edge of that and just wait for them to kind of, they're not as alert, they're not paying attention. But when you're after a bull like old man over here, he's got 8 cows, you know, and that they are alert, like they are paying attention to every little detail.
Yep.
And they're not fighting with each other. He's not acting like the man. It's a totally different dynamic. Sneaking up on them, a lot harder. And when they were walking up that ridge yesterday to give me that shot at 57 yards, as he came up, they took one step every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They did not like the fact that the wind was blowing at their back. They didn't want to move up that hill until the wind switched. They wanted to get up the hill. They pretty much more or less bedded right there, and they waited for that wind to switch. If we had only been 20 yards closer, 30 yards closer
Yep.
in our setup, they would have staged right in bow range. Instead, they staged just slightly out of range, and that was the difference, you know.
Yep.
But they were down in the water. They liked it right there, but they weren't going to move out of it until the wind was in their face.
Yep, exactly.
But the big herds, those with 50 cows or more, they just are careless.
Yep.
So we might just blow out of this canyon we're in, bump into the next one, because we know there's a couple 100 head of elk in there and some big herds. So, and we might get into the chaos. It'll be fun to film some of that. But Grandpa right now, the old man, he doesn't look like he's very huntable.
No, that one cow wasn't there. He'd be in a fairly stockable position, especially if the wind does kind of pick up,
Yeah.
hopefully in the next couple hours.
It's quite possible if the wind does pick up, which it usually does from 11 to 2, it'll get pretty gusty because of the thermals, but it's weird. This fog has got, this smoke is sort of keeping the sun at bay, which is keeping the thermals more dead. I think if she gets up and she goes over the ridge when the sun gets too hot,
right,
and she's not a sentinel on the top there, we can get right to her position, and if they're in the bottom, in the shade, we'll probably kill him in his bed. But we need wind, we need cover,
yep,
and we need that cow out of the way.
Yeah, this dry brush is just so tough to stalk, and we've been cruising around in our stockisons, kind of trying to help the stalk, but when there's no wind, this dry, dead grass and brush is just super noisy.
Speaking of which, I love just cruising the mountains in those stockisons.
Me too.
It's just comfortable. It's like slippered feet, you know.
Yeah.
You be so sneaky and careful, and some guys are like, they can't imagine walking these hills without their boots on. I'm like, not at all, man. I don't have any trouble with just those. The stockisons are custom sewn, so they fit exactly.
Right.
My feet don't slide around in them at all.
Yeah.
They fit real nice, and they're that solid leather.
Well, and even mine, I mean, they're not like custom to me. They're just to my size.
Yeah.
And I have no issues, you know. Can hike up and down the hill. They, you know, if you're into a lot of like grass, they are slick. But at the same time, like the benefit you get on the rest of the stock is way over more powering than just a slick grass. But
I think they also force you to slow down.
Yeah.
You know, in boots you can kind of just cruise a little bit over rock and shale and all that and spiky stuff and loose rock, and when you're wearing the stockisons, it's like you're just more careful with each step because your feet can feel it. I feel like it's a nice break. Like I wear those for a day or two, just, you know, out of this spike camp, and my feet feel like they got some exercise. They conform to the ground. It's like a little massage. When they're in boots all day, I think they can really atrophy, and your feet need the you know, the flexibility and the movement. And you can get into such like squatting positions behind a sage or whatever. You can just move so much more fluidly, like a ninja.
Exactly.
Man, it's dead in here. Yesterday it was wild. There was elk bugling all around us. You never know. It's like how much of them not being here today is because we've left some scent in the canyon,
Right.
or they just happen to just be somewhere else.
Yep. Yeah, and I think we had that other nice 6-point in here, but I think this old man's kind of ran him out of here, or pushed him out of here.
Yeah, that old man seems to be the boss. Like, these elk bugle at him, but they don't want to go anywhere near him.
Right. He just has that stature about him, like everybody knows.
They're not. He's like, I'd rather die fighting than have to walk up this hill.
Exactly.
That what a shocker it was yesterday when we watched that bull clash. Those two herds clashed, and the wide bull was definitely there's an elk coming over the saddle.
Yeah.
That wide bull was, her mouth is hanging open. Hopefully there's a whole group behind her and she's a lead cow.
Yep. Yep, there's
Oh,
two,
here we
three.
go. Come on, bring a bull with you. Bring a big old bull. You're thirsty.
4 or 5.
Here we go. Just turn this camera on real quick. That's a cool skyline shot. Hope we see some antlers coming over. This basin is empty right now.
Yep.
That's a big old group, dude.
Yeah, they're still coming.
Man, this smoke is just killing everything. All right. What's your prediction? Is there going to be a herd bull?
Yes.
This group?
There's going to be an alright or great 6 point. That's my prediction. But I've been wrong before.
What were we saying before we got distracted?
Oh, not sure.
I can't remember either. We're in the middle of something good though. But the hunt is on, folks. One after the other after the other. They're pouring into our canyon here. How many is that so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
12, 13. There's gotta be. Come on. It's not often that we've seen cows without bulls anymore.
And in most cases, you know, those bulls they got packed that extra weight, that headgear.
Yeah, they're in the
They're
back.
always in the back usually.
Carrying all that load. The other thing we realized yesterday, because each time we go through this, we go through a little learning curve. There's the spring that's coming out of the mountain here is so filthy. It's just there's nothing there. It's just like the slowest little trickle.
Basically, just a elk wallow on the hillside.
Yeah. But what we found was, what we did was we packed in a little tiny plastic hose pipe, little pipe, lightweight, and we plumbed that into the hill, and it worked great. Started just pouring water out that spigot real clean, because the other thing in a seep like that is you dig a hole and you let the seep fill, the hole fill, and then you, from there you grab,
You dip out of it.
You dip out of it, but it's there's so much silt every time you disturb it with a dip into it, and you have to dig a pretty big hole. It takes a while to fill, and then you gotta let it settle. But with that little piece of pipe, you just plumb it right into the hill where it's fresh, where it hasn't been contaminated by the flow below, and then boom, you just, at that point, you just let it, just like a spigot, you just fill all your water bottles, and it's clean because you're not disturbing the water at all. Works great.
Steri pennant, you got fresh spring water. It's
real clean. Elk haven't pissed in it or anything. It's coming right out of the mountain.
Still can carry bacteria. That's, you know, any place, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, most of those places, they run enough sheep and cattle, and Giardia goes upstream.
Yeah.
So no matter where I'm at, I don't care how clean the water looks, I always make sure to sterilize it somehow. I don't ever want to take a chance. I know guys that have and that have gotten sick. So take the couple minutes to sterilize it, because it'll save you in the end.
They're just pouring over that mountain still.
Yeah.
Just cow after cow after cow. There's gotta be a bull with this group. They're tired, dude. Their mouths are hanging open. Something's got them moving. But yeah, we've been able to, that worked well for getting water up here. Did you hear that bugle?
Yeah, that was old man.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I thought it was out this way.
Oh, I heard right behind us where he's bedded. Just a lazily.
He must have heard a bull coming with this.
Yeah, there was the one that was coming down this ridge afar. I can't find it now. Couple more still pouring over.
Yeah, there's going to be a bull with this group. I mean, it's just a massive herd. Yeah, we need a little confusion in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need some some bulls to bump into each other and get distracted. The mouths are hanging open. Some are feeding now, though, on that slope. They probably bed right there.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm hearing a chuckle, and it's down here. It is not over here.
Yeah, and there's that part of that hill we just can't see, like where that other 6 point was yesterday.
Right. behind that little mountain. But I'd be surprised if, I think if it, I don't know, with this bull, other bull bugling all morning, it wouldn't be characteristic for this, if there is a bull tucked in over there for
Right.
quiet. It must have moved in rather when we weren't.
Yeah, I don't know where that one that was on top, I don't even know what it was. I could see that he was a bull, but enough smoke through the binoculars without putting the spotting scope on him, I couldn't tell what he was.
Well, they're so tired coming over that top. If there's a bull with him, he could be way behind them.
Right.
Depending on what pushed him, made him leave. Well, this has been cool. I am. That sentinel cow, she's gone. She got up. Old man's guardian angel got up and walked into the ravine, so let's keep an eye on them. They might mosey down around and hit the water.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. But right now they're tucked behind that ridge. But without better wind, I don't think there's any play there. We need some sound, man.
I know, it's dead quiet up here.
Can hear a pin drop today.
Well, I could be wrong. There might not be a bull.
That's a big group of cows not to have
Which?
a bull.
Could mean a couple things. Either somebody else is up here and got lucky and smoked a good bull. Hoping not. But
Don't say that.
I know.
They should shuffle the deck, though.
Yep.
Something should happen. Oh, I took my water bladders, put them inside my sleeping bag, because at night they get real cold.
Yeah.
The water gets real cold in those bladders, and if you take those bladders and you stuff them in your sleeping bag, it's like a refrigerator. It keeps them nice and cold.
Yep.
But yesterday we were in a hurry and we ditched, and I left my bladder in my pack right here. And
I shoved
got
mine
back
on my...
last night, and it was hot. It was hot water. I was like, how not refreshing.
Mine were fairly cool because I stuck them actually underneath my air pad and my sleeping bag, so they stayed fairly cool.
Yeah.
So when we got back last night, dark, I had some, it wasn't cold, but I had some cool water.
Well, that's what I was going to say is one of the things that we learned, we struck out and did a little, we leave our spike camp here. You got the camera, I got the bow, or vice versa. But I used my lid from my Stone Glacier pack as a little satchel hung over my shoulder. It buckles together. And we went out basically and just hunted all day along these mountains, not far from camp, 1,000 feet down maybe. But what we realized was 1 liter of water was just not enough.
Yeah,
we needed
took about a liter, and we needed about
2 or 3.
And we had a place we could get some out of a spring, but the problem was is the elk were there and you couldn't move, would have got busted.
So the new plan, taking some lessons from that, is pack at least 2 or 3 liters. This metal microlight, it sure is refreshing because it keeps your stuff cold.
Yeah.
But it's also a little loud if it hits a rock or whatever.
Right.
And it's heavy. The water bladder is nice and small, and it gets smaller as you empty it.
Right.
So next time I'm throwing in 2 or 3 liters in the bladder, and I have my little mug, little GSI plastic cup, nice and quiet and light. So if I want to mix any drinks, I'll use the bladder to fill the cup, sterilize it out of the cup, mix a little drink in there, and have plenty of water. We got stuck on that bull we were like 150 yards from that bull for 5 hours or something in the sun.
Yeah, it got pretty darn warm sitting there. It's frustrating because you could hear the wind and see the wind blowing on the willows and stuff below, and where we were, just enough tucked in that canyon, enough cover.
No wind at all.
No wind.
Sun beating us down.
And it was up. There's some more coming over, so we might have a bull coming behind these cows.
Good. Yeah, I really, a little bit of food, that water in the satchel, the plastic cup, steri pin, and we found some water that Brad was bold enough to drink out of. It was basically an elk wallow.
I was thirsty.
It was gross. We both filled our bottles, and there was so much floating crap, and it was nasty. And I was like, do you have anything to flavor this? He steri pinned it, but I wasn't confident. And Brad's like, no. So I'm looking at it looked like swamp water. So much sediment floating in it. And you're like, he steri pinned it, and you're like, here goes. You were thirsty.
Yeah.
He drank like a cup or two out of that, and you were like,
It was pretty strong. Like, I think about it, and I told you this, but I think about it, and it's like, it reminded me of the days when I was bull riding. You get a bull that whips his tail around as you're riding.
there we go.
That's a pretty good bull, Brian.
Heck yeah. I like look, folks, we got a bull coming over the ridge.
He's a big 5.
You think so? He's got a big body. He's slagging behind though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He look tired.
He just bugled.
He doesn't look that big.
No.
Is he just far away?
No, I think he's just a 5.
For having that many cows? Right.
He just took off acting like he's the big dog. He's definitely acting like the cat's meow, but
Huh.
he's just not that big a bull.
Maybe the herd bull got shot.
Maybe. It's possible. Especially with that many cows there. And then you got...
Well, we should probably wrap up this podcast and get eyes on the other side of this canyon. See what we can find over there. But, man, I was expecting a bigger bull.
I know, me too. Especially with all those cows, but...
He looks heavy, but he didn't look... He's pretty small.
No, his tops are pretty weak, and he's just I don't know, he's barely bigger than a raghorn. He's heavier than a raghorn, but...
Well, they're running from something. Maybe someone shot the herd bull and he slipped in, although he's got a big body on him. He just doesn't have big antlers.
But listening to his bugle again doesn't always mean... You can't really judge a bull by his bugle, but a lot of times those old bulls got that real raspy, deep.
Yeah.
And that bugle he just let off sure wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It's high-pitched and shallow. But so is this grandpa bull.
Yeah.
His bugle's real mellow.
Yeah.
He didn't go growling like he's pissed or anything.
No.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in to the podcast. We'll keep doing a few of these up on the mountain.
Yeah, we got a lot of days ahead of us.
All right, folks, we're going to get off this podcast. And thanks for tuning in. Stay gritty. We'll catch you later on the next episode.